We're live and direct from the QC, Charlotte, and surrounding areas. Welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm Kaiser Sose, and with me I have the angry black fan, Jamal Darby.
What up,
Jamal? How's your
hey
week?
man, pretty good, man. Can't complain. Beautiful weather in the QC, man. Just working hard.
Kind of brisk today.
Yeah.
Kind of cold. But it's been an interesting week if you follow college hoops. Anyone who it's some of y'all out there, man. I had St. Peter's. You a liar.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
Show me your breath. I want to see it. I want to see it. Now, some of you diehard Carolina fan, and I'm a diehard Carolina fan, but I did not have them making it to the Final Four. Which they will make it to the Final Four if they were to beat St. Peter's today, and if they win. Duke Carolina Final Four.
So
good luck getting a ticket.
So Kaiser, are you ready for the apocalypse next week, sir? That's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't. It's hard to say what St. Peter's going to do because they've shocked everyone throughout this tournament. They may mess around and beat the Tar Heels. I don't see it happening though because we see this with Cinderella teams all the time. They just, they reach for the sun and the wings melt and they fall. Carolina is a really good team, as we've seen in the tournament. They might be underseeded, and this might be the end for St. Peter.
Hey, man, Caleb Love is going to turn into one of those dudes. He's going to get drafted in like the late first round, early second round, and he's going to get to the league, and then he's going to ball out. And people be like, man, how did he fall so low? That's exactly what Caleb Love is turning into, man. Absolutely. Hey, look. 9 times out of 10, I'm always rooting for Cinderella or the underdog, man. Not today, bro. Obviously not today. Cause look, I need Duke Carolina in the Final Four.
I mean, the only thing that would make that better is if it was for the championship, but they would face each other in the first Final Four final game. But still, good luck getting a ticket. Do you know how many people, how many celebrities, how many sports figures? First of all, we know where Michael Jordan's going to be. The Hornets could be playing for the universe.
You know what? You know what's funny? you know what's funny? The Hornets actually have a game that day. That we actually play the 76ers at 12:30 during the day. I guarantee you Michael Jordan will be at that game. I would. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. Michael Jordan going to be sitting courtside at UNC Duke. In the and he's gonna have like $1 million riding on that game too. But they got to get past St. Peter's first. St. Peter's a bunch of dudes from the hood. They don't care. They don't care. They're scared. They got nothing to lose. So that ought to be a good game. I'm gonna check that out as soon as we get done with this episode. I think it starts at 5:00. But on to the big leagues. The Charlotte Hornets continue being hot, going 2-1 last week. We picked the chalk last week, and they kind of fumbled that up, but they still went 2-1, winning a game really that they should have lost against the Pelicans, and then losing a game they should have lost to the Knicks, although they could have won, and then just kind of being dominant against the Jazz, who have had our number for like 5 straight years. Just weird.
Did you know that was the first time we've beaten Utah in Charlotte since Kemba Walker? That was the first time since 2016 we beat them here in Charlotte, dude.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make sense.
You know why?
Doesn't make sense.
They have Rudy Gobert. And although our brother Rodney he's not a big fan of Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is the best defensive big in the game, and he's not even in his prime anymore. Essentially, you're just not going to get to the rim if Rudy Gobert is there. But the Hornets had a really good game plan around facing Rudy Gobert, and that was we're actually going to crash the boards for once. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that game in a minute. Let's rewind a little bit to the game against the New Orleans Pelicans, in which Devontae Graham made his homecoming, and the Pelicans almost snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Your thoughts on that game?
That game went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I mean that 100%, man. I knew they were going to come into Charlotte with a little chip on their shoulder because we were pretty dominant the last game. We played that team from New Orleans, as I like to call them, as Vince likes to call them. So I knew they were going to come here and play better. When it came to Charlotte, man. For the most part, man, it was a very evenly played game through three quarters. But guess who was the MVP of this game? I don't care what anybody says, Kaiser. You know who the MVP of this game was? Mr. Mason Plumlee was the MVP of this game, and I'm going to tell you why. Hey, man, I was actually at this game with our brother Vince. And I was telling him, like, man, boy, I really wish we could scoop Jonas Valanciunas this summer, boy. Could you imagine? Boy. Anywho, Valanciunas was pretty dominant, dude. He 24 and 18 for the game.
24 and 18, that's
But the turning point of this game came into the fourth quarter when Mr. Mason Plumlee re-entered the game. The energy that he provided when he came back in the game, and the rebounds that he got because Montrezl Harrell and nobody else was getting it done on the defensive backboard. When Plumlee came back into that game, man, that made all the difference in that game. His energy, his defense, and his rebounding was the difference in that fourth quarter, man. So major props to Mason Plumlee. Glad to see we got it done, man. And we completed the sweep of the team from New Orleans.
Yeah, no, definitely. Valanciunas was killing us on the boards. We knew that rebounds were going to be crucial down the stretch to close that game out. We ended up only winning by 3. Mason Plumlee comes in, got some big rebounds, and made some big defensive plays against Valanciunas. So, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with you, especially since none of the Hornets had big offensive outings. I mean,
right.
CJ McCollum had, for the Pelicans, had 27 points. I mean, excuse me, that's huge. He was by far the leading scorer on both teams. Our leading scorer was LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. Both had 17 points. The Hornets did not shoot poorly, though. They shot 50% from the field and 35% for 3, which is, I mean, that's about their average. And get this, the Pelicans actually shot worse. The Hornets played great defense. The Pelicans only shot 44%. They did shoot 37% for 3, but they shot 4 less 3-pointers. So not a great offensive output by the Hornets like we're used to seeing, but they play better defense.
Especially when it mattered.
When it counted down the stretch. Yep. CJ McCollum tried to get some big baskets, but what we're seeing here with the Hornets, remember last season, they were like the best clutch team in the league statistically.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That just kind of went away. At some point in the season. I think now it's back. During the Utah game, I think there was a stat that was posted post All-Star break, best clutch teams in the league, and the Charlotte Hornets were first in nearly every category. This is a great time to go back to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the season.
And it's funny you mentioned that because that's very weird, isn't it? Because, like you said, going back to last season, we knew how to play down the stretch. And it looks like we started smelling ourselves a little bit in that aspect. And then we forgot how to play this season. There was a big stretch of games where what I like to call, we go bonehead mode, where we go, a lot of one-on-one, a lot of forgetting the offense, a lot of stupid turnovers, a lot of dumb fouls, down the stretch, man. And it seems like we're growing back up at the right time. It's just weird that we regressed the way we did during this past season, man.
Right.
But
you know why I think a big difference is Isaiah Thomas in that game, 15 points in 14 minutes, 5 for 9, 2 for 3 from 3. I don't think we're on this stretch of games without Isaiah Thomas.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
In fact, we lose that game against New Orleans if he doesn't play as well as he did. So
completely agree.
But then, so we're high off that win. Like, okay, we snuck one away, and then.
We gotta beat the Knicks, right? It's just the Knicks, right?
The rowdy New York Knicks come to town, and the Knicks aren't as good as the Hornets for this season, which is odd for whatever reason. Because from a talent standpoint, you would think they are. They were missing 2 of their key players. Should have been an easy win for Charlotte, right? Nope. Absolutely not. As the Knicks started off high and just ran away with this one, 121. 106. LaMelo Ball had a great game, so his fans will be happy about that. They don't really care about. I'm messing with y'all. But RJ Barrett had an incredible game. He had 30 points, and the Knicks hit 23 pointers to win that game. Your thoughts?
First and foremost, I have a hot take concerning the Knicks. I know this is not a Knicks show, but I feel the need to get this off my chest. My bold prediction for the Knicks is that they will trade Julius Randle. You know why? Because it seems like they play better without Julius Randle. The ball. I just wanted to let everybody know that the next game, the Knicks also beat the Miami Heat pretty handily. Came back from that game and beat the Heat as well. So,
right, yeah.
Whatever you want to with that information. Now, as far as that concerns the game with the Hornets, I always say this, man. You got to give the other team credit sometimes. Now, the New York Knicks had that ball popping. It was moving. They did exactly what we needed to do, but did not do. We gave up 40 points in the first quarter because just like classic Hornets, hey, we underestimate our opponent. We think we can walk out there and win sometimes. I don't know where that comes from, but that's who we are sometimes. And it showed itself that game. Again, give up 40 points in the first quarter. And once you give a team the kind of confidence, and the coaching staff from the Hornets say this a lot, when you don't make the other team feel you in the first quarter, it's a hard uphill battle from that point on. And this game was the classic example of that. We had no answer for RJ Barrett. We had no answer for the amount of threes they hit. LaMelo Ball was like the only person to give us consistent offense. We missed a bunch of threes as well. And, we kind of live and die by that three. So the fact that we got beat by 15 is just not surprising. They hit all their threes. We missed all our threes. We didn't defend. It's pretty much the way that went.
Yeah. Just a terrible game from beginning to end. But I'll say this. Sometimes a team just gets
hot.
They just get hot. The New York Knicks are not a great three-point shooting team. Grimes is a 29% three-point shooter. He hit a big one. Obi Toppin shot 2 for 4 from 3. Burks shot 3 for 6 from 3. RJ Barrett's not even a great three-point shooter, and he had 3 big three-pointers. So I think
Todd Gibson hit 2 threes.
Yes. So I think that the Hornets got punched in the mouth, and they said, okay, the Knicks, they coming out, they shooting a lot of threes. We can do that too. And they just got outshot.
So I want to address this comment that Jerry just made about the rotations. And one thing I was thinking about with this game, and it's probably going to sound like I'm making excuses, but just kind of hear me out here. When any team is hitting shots like that, it is very, very hard to game plan for. I don't know if Borrego knew what to do as far as the rotations going on in the third and fourth quarter to try to circumvent all the made threes. But to be fair, I wouldn't have an answer either.
Yeah,
think about, you know what I mean?
I mean, to put it in perspective, everybody on the Hornets was a negative, except Isaiah Thomas, who was +2. But everyone else.
And let me interrupt you, which is kind of surprising, being that he missed so many shots as well. He missed a lot of shots. But go, you finish your point.
So, but to that point, the Hornets actually outscored the Knicks by 1 in the third, and only lost the fourth by 3 points, and that was mainly because the game got out of reach. So, all the starters got yanked. The Hornets actually won essentially every quarter, but the first, which they lost by 16 points. You get down by 16 points in the first quarter to a team that's super hot, that's shooting 44% from 3-point line. I mean, I'm not sure what else could have been done. Like, we didn't get out rebounded. We actually won the rebound battle by 5. We had more steals. We had more blocks. I mean, yeah, it was just one. I think that was an anomaly game. I'll be honest.
I do. Same. I agree.
Be honest with you. And free James Bouknight. No, keep him in jail. I'll tell you this. Keep Gordon Hayward on the bench. Keep James Bouknight in the G League. Don't mess it. Don't mess this up right now.
Don't mess this up right now.
Mess it up.
I agree.
I think I know the Hornets feel like I think they're saying, okay, we're gonna make the play in, so we'll bring in Gordon Hayward. Nope. The current starting rotation starting to gel. Everything's working well. I think, yeah. Although, I mean, I think Bouknight. There are a lot of guys. I think Kai Jones would be able to come in and play solid, but there's a lot that can be said for team chemistry.
And so listen, man. Last week, what did I say? I said fans want a 13-man rotation. Y'all, it's not possible, man. I prefer to look at this as a good problem. Kai Jones, Bouknight. Now, Bouknight is a big if because we don't know what his future is going to hold in the next 2-3 seasons. Let's assume he's going to stick around. Then the future looks bright with Kai Jones and James Bouknight. But as of right now, today, when you're trying to win games and you're trying to be in that play-in game to essentially be in the playoffs, like you said, I don't want to mess anything up right now, dude. So just kind of keep everything as it is. In terms of Gordon Hayward, I love me some Gordon Hayward, man. I just believe he's going to be intent on not messing things up. I'm cool with bringing him off the bench, maybe 15 to 20 minutes a game when he comes back. I think that'll be cool. But again, don't try to force him into the offense and try to get him 20 shots a game. That's just not going to work out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Hornets should leave well enough alone for right now.
For right now, yeah. Absolutely.
Mainly because after the fumble against the Knicks, which I was going to make this post in the Facebook group, but I did not. But I felt like that was a good loss. That's exactly the kind of loss you need. Sometimes you got to remind the Hornets have short memories. That's why we shoot so many threes. We missed and they were like, oh, well, so what? We're just going to shoot again. They're the same way with wins and losses. And a lot of times they have not learned their lesson from losing to lesser teams in the season. And I think they kind of did because they came out and really got a big wire-to-wire win against the Utah Jazz, 107-108. Miles Bridges had a huge game. LaMelo Ball played well. Terry Rozier played well. That threesome, no pun intended, sex party, but those three guys who they're calling the QC3 now are fairly close to all averaging 20 points a game. That's only happened once in the last decade, and that was the Boston Celtics a few years ago with Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. So those three guys, I think, are finally starting to gel. Like I said in my earlier point, don't mess that rotation up. They came out, played a really good game against the Jazz. Donovan Mitchell got his, of course. I think he also feels like he needs to get his against the Hornets because
he always has that obligatory y'all should have drafted me game against the Hornets.
Yeah, exactly. And he did. He had a big shot late. He got real hype. But what I loved about the Hornets is they said, okay, we got guys who can hit big shots too. And Terry, where would we be without Terry Rozier?
Man, dude, I don't know. I shudder to think, man. I really do. And on top of Terry Rozier, where will we be once again without Mr. Isaiah Thomas? I mean, look, the QC3, the big three. Here he goes. I mean, the big three are obvious. Ball, Rozier, Bridges. Those are your core. You know what I mean? You know what to expect from them every night. But this Isaiah Thomas, man, this Isaiah Thomas signing, it proves more and more important every game, man. 9 points in 15 minutes off the bench, man. 2 steals. He stabilizes that offense when he comes in there, man. Like Kaiser, how many times have we said when Gordon Hayward went out that we needed an adult on the floor? And Isaiah Thomas is the adult on the floor.
Yeah.
That we told everybody we needed so desperately, and he's been that, man. So he's been a godsend.
You know what? It's funny because look at him when he's on the bench. He's not on the bench. He's standing on the sideline, like a coach. You know, Barrett on his staff sitting there chilling. Isaiah Thomas is out there hyping, almost to the point where when he first came to the team, I was like, "Is this genuine? Is he just doing that because he feels like that's what I should do?" But no, I think he really feels like no, I like what these guys do, and I know what I can bring at this point in my career, and I think the players do kind of look at him like the adult out there. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's got MVP votes before. We forget how good Isaiah Thomas was.
And on top of it, I think he's just really, really grateful to have another chance. But I just think he's taking Dude, that's a good one, Josh. I think he's very grateful for this opportunity as well, man. Blank face, what you got, man? You on with us? All right, he's doing something else.
So,
Kaiser, please take this one because I know you want to.
Y'all know how I feel about Jalen McDaniels, and like I say this every week, I know why JB likes Jalen McDaniels. I mean, athletically, he's a good athlete. He's got all of the physical tools. He's quick. He's long. He can provide some offense and defense, but I just feel like when he's in the game, his impact is negligible. And in fact, I feel like JT Thor can do the same thing Jalen McDaniels can do, but his impact is more noticeable. I feel like I was disappointed to see JT Thor's minutes decline when Jalen McDaniels came back. I understand, though, that's how JB runs the team. Jalen McDaniels has earned his right to his minutes being on this team for the past 3 seasons. So I get it. Having said that, when Gordon Hayward comes back, I do expect McDaniels' minutes to decline, but like Jamal said, not right away. I kind of think Gordon Hayward is enough of a vet to know that him just coming back into the starting lineup is going to mess things up. Even if he scores 40 points a game, that's not what the Hornets need right now. They need stability. They need smart plays.
Continuity.
Yes, they need to make sure that the offense is flowing. They need all that right now, and I think Gordon Hayward knows that. And I think that JB is going to kind of massage Hayward's minutes back in. I think PJ actually is going to continue to play big minutes down the stretch here because JB really trusts PJ Washington. Really trusts him. Sometimes too much. I think he's trusted him ever since his first game as a rookie, 27 points. As a starter, his first game in the NBA, I think JB is like, look, we can do something with that guy. So yeah.
Speaking of PJ, man, PJ played he was awful for most of this Utah game. I mean, he was really, really bad. And come the fourth quarter, he hits 2 very important shots. Didn't hit a shot all game until the fourth quarter.
Big shot.
So that might speak to exactly why JB trusts him so much.
Blank face, what you got, man?
Are you speaking to us today? You just gonna look at us, man? What's up?
I'm a big fan of Paul's resurgence. He's gotten over that hurt in his life, and I expect better from Paul.
Paul meeting PJ Washington, man. I agree, man. Look, I posed the question the other day, and I said, man, is PJ Washington the biggest X factor, on this team? And I posed that question because I believe that to be true. I'm not going to say we come and go with his performances, but at the same time, man, when he plays well, it usually bodes well for the Hornets, man.
Hey,
thank God Mitchell did not trade him during the deadline like people wanted him to do.
I agree.
I don't think Mitch has that in him to. These are the guys that he drafted for a reason. I think he's going to try and see them through. James Bouknight ain't going anywhere, y'all. I don't think him or Kai Jones. First of all, you don't trade your first-round picks to move up and draft a second first-round pick in the same draft like they did with Kai Jones. They felt like they didn't want anyone else to get Kai Jones. They felt like we get this guy, we can develop him up. And
especially if you've been looking at these G League highlights lately, because it looks like, I don't want to judge too much from highlights, but at the same time, it looks like this young man is gaining a lot more confidence. He's becoming a lot more aggressive. Looks like his skills are sharpening a little bit, man. So
he's too good for I think he's too good for the G League. Sometimes, same with James Bouknight. They're too good for the G League, but they're just not.
I'm gonna say this: be careful with the G League. I mean, if you go back in time, PJ Hairston was putting up 30, 40 balls in G League.
Blast from the past, man.
Please be careful with that. I think Kai Jones is a year or two from being a serious contributor. He just realized he just started playing the game less than 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's still time for him to develop. But I'm interested to see what they do with Bouknight this summer. There has to be a move on the roster to clear space for him to play. I just don't know where he fits, and his attitude is not conducive to that team atmosphere. So
we shall
see what happens this summer.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm not envious of Mitch Kupchak. That's when this is why he gets paid the big bucks to make those kind of decisions. I wouldn't want to make that decision, and I'll be interested to see what happens with that as well.
But then, James Bouknight's under contract, and he's not like LaMelo Ball. He's not gonna, or he's not in any position to try and force his way out. If the Hornets want to keep him in the G League for the next 7 years, then they can do that. Literally they can. So I think this might be one of those situations where they're like, look, man, just sit down and wait your turn. Just sit down, because eventually, there's gonna have to be a roster move to clear up the guard situation. But as long as the problem is not Bouknight or Terry Rozier, it's guys like Oubre and Cody Martin, the guys that the backup to, who are part of this team and contribute. He's got to outplay both of those guys. Right now, you can make the argument that he could bring more to the Hornets than Cody Martin could, but could he bring more than Kelly Oubre does? Kelly Oubre is averaging 15 points a game off the bench and has been like a big spark for the Hornets this season. We don't know if James Bouknight's going to do that.
I'm going to go back to my prior commentary on the whole Bouknight versus Cody Martin thing, because I think those two are in direct competition. And I'll say what I said before, man. I think it's pretty obvious that Bouknight is the more talented player of the two. He's a lottery pick for a reason. The potential is there. You see it. But Cody Martin, you can't question what he brings to you when he's actually on the court, what he produces and what he's brought to us when he's on the court. He's probably still our best wing defender. You know what I mean? He's probably one of the more efficient offensive players, if you can believe that or not. So again, man, I just wouldn't want to make that decision if I'm Mitch Kupchak, man. I think those two are in direct competition with each other, honestly.
And I have a disclaimer. I've been absent for a while, but I'm still seeing this narrative. LaMelo Ball is not going anywhere. He is under a rookie contract, and he's not declining more money. Well, he's not taking less money to sign elsewhere. And if he wants to be a restricted free agent, he can do that. And guess what we'll do every time?
Match. Every time.
Yeah, the idea that LaMelo Ball could force his way out, I understand that there are players that have done that. You look at James Harden or Ben Simmons, although it's debatable whether he really forced his way out. He's lucky that Harden was also looking to do the same thing, or else that trade doesn't get made and Ben Simmons sits another year possibly.
I'm going to say this. Pretty soon there's going to be some parameters set in place where it's going to be a lot harder for players to force their way out, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And if you think the 76ers owner was pleased with that whole situation in the NBA, right when he signed that extension, he's like in his first year of that extension, that's not going to happen anymore.
No,
they're going to put barriers in place to stop that type of behavior. At the end of the day, it's player empowerment, but it's still the owner's league, unfortunately.
Trust me on this. The NBA does not want LaMelo Ball to leave the Charlotte Hornets and go to LA or New York. People think that the NBA likes to cater to big market teams in a lot of ways they do. We've seen that with the way they assign referees, but the NBA realizes that they have just finally achieved some form of parity in the league. That was always the big advantage the NFL had. From season to season, you could be the Carolina Panthers in 2015 or the Carolina Panthers in 2016, whereas in the NBA, you didn't have that. Now, for a lot of different reasons, they've achieved this parity. But if you start allowing big name stars to force their way out of contracts to go play for LA, Chicago, New York, Miami, then you're back to where you were before. So I agree, Rodney. I think that.
And look, I'll say this. Look, I'm not close to LaMelo. I'm not in his head. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I want to make that very clear, man, because you look at the situation we're in, being that we're one of the youngest teams in the NBA, and you look at the camaraderie LaMelo Ball has with his teammates, and I don't. It's so incredibly silly to me to try to question that part, to try to sit here and say that he doesn't like his teammates and his coach. I don't see that at all. I think he loves his teammates, man. I think they have great camaraderie. Again, they're very young. They're going to have a good cap situation with Gordon Hayward. Contract is up. So if you're looking at the situation as it stands, why would he want to leave? That's my question.
Why would he why he wants to leave? Because James Borrego doesn't want to see him shine.
I don't know if you guys noticed this. I don't know how many of you guys watched the immediate post-game interview after the Hornets win, where Ashley goes on the court and she picks someone to interview.
Right.
It was Terry Rozier against Utah. It was LaMelo Ball against New Orleans.
Dropping that bombs.
Yeah. That was against Dallas, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
But all of them have mentioned coaching. All of them. Now, you may say, well, of course they're gonna say that.
Of course they're gonna say that, man.
But the thing is they don't have to say that. All of Terry Rozier said. First of all, Terry Rozier said something very interesting. Very interesting. He said, "We got this locker room. Ignore whatever. We're gonna ignore what everyone is saying." Now, maybe he's a part of the Hornets Facebook group, but
hey, Kaiser. Somebody said that the locker room was lost back in
I think Terry was addressing this narrative that the locker room is lost. He's like, no, we got the locker room. We're good. And he's like, we got to, and he said, thanks to the support of our teammates and coaches. I don't think players who have problems with the coaching staff, they don't say things like that.
No. And I'll say this before, and I promise I won't be long-winded about this, but being a longtime fan of this franchise, I've seen a lost locker room. I saw when Larry Brown lost this locker room. I saw when Mike Dunlap lost this locker room. There's nothing that
Mike Dunlap lost the locker room like in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. So this looks nothing like a locker room. Yeah.
I do want to address this question before we go to our next topic. Sherrod asks our thoughts on Montrezl Harrell going forward. Do we have a two-headed monster with him and Mason Plumlee?
It's not a two-headed monster. It's like a two-headed pug.
It's like two dogs in your backyard.
Yeah, it's two dogs in your backyard. I mean, Montrezl is a pit bull. Mason's a pug. But I mean, going forward, I expect for him to come off the bench. Like he's a good player, but to me, he's not a starter in the league. Like he feasts off the of backup players. And I'm gonna say this: like he's not an exceptional rebounder. If you look at one of those games this past week, the complexion of the game changed when Plumlee checked in the game.
I said that
grabbing those rebounds and defending. So I expect from Plumlee to start going forward for the rest of the year. Trez to be the beast that he is coming off the bench, and I like our pug and Pitbull.
Yeah, go ahead, Jamal.
I was gonna say I don't know if I could explain that any better, man. I think Montrezl Harrell was a very necessary signing, man, and more so, I like to sign him because it allows PJ to go back to his natural position of 4. That's what I'm most.
Yes.
That's what I'm the biggest fan of with the Montrezl Harrell acquisition, man. I think PJ's played better for it. I think Mason has obviously played better since Montrez has been here. So it is a move that has essentially made other players better, and I don't know how anybody can be mad at that. And I'll echo what Rodney said, man. I like him better coming off the bench, man. You know, sometimes stats will lie to you. Like sometimes Montrez's stats will look better than Mason Plumlee's, man. But you got to understand situational basketball and the impact that he has in the game when he's going up against the opposing bench, man. So I love the pug and the pit bull analogy. I agree 100%.
I don't think either guy is here next season. I mean, if Montrezl Harrell
isn't Plumlee signed through next season? Is Plumlee signed through next? I'd have to look that up.
Plumlee might be signed. I think he's signed through next season. Montrezl is not, and he's going to be looking for another deal. I mean, Montrezl had the chance to come here before. He actually turned down money to go play in LA.
Yeah.
Now he's back here for that less money. And the Hornets would have to offer him what he's making now in order to stick around. So the question is he going to do that? Especially since he's come here and played well. Other teams are going to be looking at that. Teams better than the Hornets are going to be like, we could really use a guy like Montrezl Harrell coming off the bench, scoring 15 points a game, back to how he was playing with the Clippers. I think it would be hard for the Hornets to keep him, considering they're going to pay Miles. And they're probably going to either pay Cody or bring in another free agent center. I mean, if you got a chance to get Nurkic or
Valanciunas,
you're gonna keep Montrezl Harrell around?
I'm sorry. If there's an opportunity to get Valanciunas, man, you jump on that all day, dude.
Even Sabonis may be an option in the offseason. And so, I think the Hornets are going to go big game hunting from the 5 position, and I don't think that's going to leave a lot of room for Montrezl. So
I agree.
Okay, so playoffs. Let's talk playoffs because the Hornets are essentially almost locked into the play-in game. There are only two stragglers on the New York Knicks and the Washington Wizards. And the Hornets are 6 games above the New York Knicks with less than 8 games left to play. Tonight is interesting, though, because we play the Brooklyn Nets, which are currently the 8th seed, the Charlotte Hornets in the 9th seed. If we were to beat the Brooklyn Nets and then the playoffs and the play-in started the next day, we would play the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 7th seed. And we would want to win that game so that we wouldn't have to play the winner of the Nets-Hawks game.
Right.
If the Hornets lose tonight and the play-in started tomorrow, then we'd play the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th seed, and then we'd have to play the winner of Brooklyn-Cleveland. So you may think that
the loser.
Yeah, you would think, okay, yeah, that's right, the loser, I'm sorry. You would think, well, obviously the Hornets need to win, but the thing is, there's still 7 games left in the season left to play. So, and it is likely that Brooklyn will leapfrog past Cleveland into the 6th seed and push Toronto back down into the 7th seed. So it's almost beneficial, and I can't believe I'm going to say this,
for Brooklyn to win.
Beneficial for the Hornets to lose tonight's game in order to help Brooklyn get past Toronto, so that we end up either playing Toronto, Cleveland, or Atlanta, rather than throwing Brooklyn into this mix. Because essentially, if we end up playing Cleveland or whoever the 7th seed is, and it's not Brooklyn in that first playing game, we have to win that game to avoid playing the Nets. If the Nets are in the 7th seed, then we'll have to win 2 games against. We'd have to win against whoever wins the 9th and 10th seed game. Your thoughts on that whole situation? I'm so glad the plan is going away next season. Thank God.
Yeah.
As long as we stay ahead of the Hawks. Yeah, because we don't want to play them on the road. That's the important thing. But
right.
What do you guys think?
All right, I'll take it first, man. Number one, avoid Brooklyn at all costs. That's number one. I just don't want to see them in any playing scenario. I am also glad that the plane is going away next season because this whole thing is really stupid, but I digress. The thing about tonight, I mean, not to be Captain Obvious, but the Hornets are not going to approach tonight's game like, oh, man, it's really not that bad if we lose. Like, the Hornets are not going to approach the game like that. But the truth of the matter is, it's really not so bad if we do lose tonight, man. Because what we want, essentially, is for Brooklyn to keep winning and Cleveland to keep losing. We're going to keep this very simple. As long as Brooklyn is winning, Cleveland is losing, that increases the chances of Cleveland falling back down to that playing position. Let me say this. Be careful asking for a playing situation playing Toronto. I do not want to play Toronto, especially in Toronto. I don't want to see that as well. Toronto has a lot of championship experience with Van Vliet and Siakam. That's another situation I would try to avoid, man. But all in all, the Hornets can only control what they can control, and that is to keep winning. Keep your winning ways. Keep your winning habits. I think if you keep your winning habits, you don't have to go into a playing situation where you're scared of anybody. Just play well. Focus on playing well every night and improving every night, and everything can take care of itself, man. I'll finish my thoughts with this. There is nothing that I want more in sports right now than to go attend a Charlotte Hornets playoff game, a real playoff game. There's nothing I want more, dude. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see it, man. But it's going to be a tough road, and I'll just be honest with you.
Well, get ready to buy your playoff ticket for 2023 because it's not happening. We need to avoid Brooklyn at all costs. But I mean, like Jamal said, these guys ain't gonna lay down today. And shout out to Major League Baseball for forcing the hand of the New York mayor and allowing Kyrie Irving to play today.
Don't get me started. God, how did I forget about that? Good. I'll shut up. Go ahead, man.
Look, it wasn't the NBA. It was Major League Baseball. Trust and believe. But man, I'm gonna echo what Jamal said. I don't want any parts of Toronto. Like I just don't want to touch that beehive right now. I'm not too much worried about the Hawks. They're missing John Collins and they don't play defense like we don't. But I'm also afraid of Cleveland, man. They get Jared Allen back pretty soon. And he's been the thorn in our side, and he's been playing. And Cleveland has kind of been faltering, but they are a nightmare mismatch for us, especially in the center position. We're guaranteed to make the play-in, but I don't see us making the playoffs. We don't. I've been saying this all season, and people have been kind of fighting me. We're a 42-win max team, and I've been saying 41, 41, 40, and 42.
And we're right on pace.
And we're right on the pace for it. And we just don't have the horses to compete right now. We have pretty good young pieces, but we don't have the full horses to compete. I want to be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll take it. But I just don't see us making the playoffs and actually competing in the playoffs. Like Milwaukee would demolish us in the first round. It'll be a 4-0 sweep. It's a different intensity level during playoff time.
That's why I think
it'll be good for them, though.
I think we should, if we have to play Cleveland, if Cleveland's the 7th seed and we're the 8th, we make the playoffs. I put money on that game.
Ooh, you put money on that game.
Here's why. And I don't bet on sports. I know I'm always posting the betting lines. I don't bet on sports because I don't have any control over that shit. But if there's one thing, the three of us have been watching sports, and everyone in the chat has been watching sports long enough to know that trends matter. The teams getting hot. Look at the Atlanta Hawks. They're the perfect example. No one predicted them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Nobody predicted them in the Eastern Conference Finals, and here they are about to miss the playoffs. Cleveland is trending downward pretty harshly. I mean, at one point, they were a top 3 seed Charlotte is trending upwards. A lot of time when those two teams meet, and we beat Cleveland the last time we played them.
And let me just say, we beat them down the last time we played them. We beat them pretty handily.
Exactly. And here's the biggest thing. We've played in a playing game before. Cleveland has not even since LeBron left. Like this is unexpected for Cleveland. A lot of people talk about.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna provide some pushback. Cleveland has championship pieces on their roster.
Kevin Love,
Rondo, and Kevin Love. They will have those kids prepared to play. We necessarily don't have that. I mean, we have grizzled veterans, but
we got Isaiah Thomas.
That only goes so far, because if that mattered, they'd be winning games now. Cleveland is not winning games right now. They're probably going to. I mean, they are in the play-in right now, and I just feel like that game that the Hornets played against the Indiana Pacers in the play-in last season, that still haunts them. That was a playoff game that the Hornets were not ready for, because they did not approach it like a playoff game. They said, okay, we're going to treat it like every other game. We're going to take it one game at a time.
It got smoked.
One game at a time. It got destroyed by a team that had made the playoffs the previous season. I think that in a one-game scenario, first of all, even though, I mean, no matter who the Hornets play, I think they're going to be hell for whoever they end up playing in a play-in game. I'd pick us to lose against Toronto. I think we beat Atlanta, and I'd pick us to lose against Brooklyn. But Cleveland, I think we'd win. I think those trends matter. I think Charlotte would realize, hey, this is our chance, because if you beat Cleveland, if there's a 7th season, that's it. You're in the playoffs.
Right.
You win. And
I'm gonna say this: that there's another team that is falling, and that could be a potential opponent. It's the Chicago Bulls. And you don't want to play them.
No,
I agree. I want to stay away from them too, buddy. I agree.
Yeah, y'all know Zach LaVine will shoot like 82% from three. Although, man,
DeMar DeRozan be 14 from 16 from the mid range.
Boy, the media would 25 shots. To Lonzo and Melo against each other for one game to go to the playoffs. Oh my God, the media! Oh my God, it would. Yeah, you're not getting a ticket to that game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck to the Hornets tonight. I think if they beat Brooklyn and keep winning, they might surprise some people. Interesting fact here: looking at the standings as they currently are, it is almost a definite that two teams with winning records will miss the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. Conversely, in the Western Conference, two teams or a team with a losing record will make the playoffs. Probably one of the teams from LA. Isn't that crazy?
Look,
when was the last time that happened?
It was just yesterday when everybody was saying the East is weak, and now the East is actually the superior conference once we finally start getting good.
It's going to be interesting if the Hornets do end the season with a winning record, probably 42-40, and miss the playoffs. Oh boy, what would fans say then? Would it be JB's fault that we had a win? Because everyone's like, oh, we have 4 straight seasons with a losing record. Well, no, not now. You don't. You can't say that argument anymore. We had a winning record.
I'm gonna say this: everything is JB's fault. He makes LaMelo make stupid fouls in the first quarter. He has Terry Rozier getting blown by other 2 guards, and JB misses all those threes. And he was supposed to bring some of that Popovich magic juice, but he didn't bring it.
You mean the same Popovich juice that ain't working in San Antonio?
Whoa. We're not talking about that. So we'll fire him, hire Mark Jackson, who was divisive in the locker room, and he's gonna fire up the troops and get unblackballed this summer and lead the Hornets to a 45-37 record with the 6, and we get swept in the first round. But we'll be happy because our coach made the playoffs.
Well, yeah, in fact, I think that will probably happen. I think the Hornets are going to end up with a winning record and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, here's the question. I mean, I think we all know the answer to this. Mitch Kupchak is happy with that, right?
Yeah. So, Hornets fans, I need you guys to understand the difference.
We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, learn the difference between goals and expectations. Everyone's like, well, Mitch says the goal is to make the playoffs. Yeah, that's the goal. That's kind of every team's goal, right?
Right, right.
To win a championship, but you set a realistic goal. Okay, our goal is to make the playoffs. That doesn't mean that that's necessarily the expectation. The expectation is that the Hornets make a market improvement from the last season, which they have.
So you're expecting people to comprehend things and be rational at the same time?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, Rodney. I expect it all the time, and I get disappointed a lot, man. Yes, I do.
I look, man. I tell you about this every time, and honestly, I've detached myself. People aren't rational in this internet metaverse age, and people don't critical think, and they don't understand what they're reading. It's 2022.
I agree.
Let me say this. As far as the expectations go, man, I always say this. It is okay to give other teams credit, man. The Eastern Conference just got better, too. I mean, we're not the only ones who made roster improvements. We're not the only one who have good young cores, man. I mean, you got to give credit to where credit is. Give credit to Cleveland, man. Give credit to Toronto. Give credit to Nick Nurse for coaching that team up. Give credit to Chicago for making their roster moves. Other teams get better, too, man. That's just the reality of the NBA.
I would hope Cleveland, like Rodney said, they have championship pieces left over from their previous championship run. But let's not forget, they have been terrible.
Awful.
For the last few seasons. That's why they're good now. If you have multiple top 3 picks, I would hope your team
at some point you would be good, right?
If anything, people are like, "Well, Cleveland's way ahead of schedule, then why aren't the Hornets?" No, they got 2 top 3 picks and 3 top 5 picks. In fact, I think them being a 7th seed would be a disappointment in my opinion. Imagine if Charlotte had 2 top 3 picks and 3 top 5 picks.
Oh my God!
Made the play in. Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Shout out to Travis Swank and Nate McMillan. That was a great firing midseason last year. You set yourself up for success.
Absolutely.
All right, on to the other team. There are 2 teams that David Tepper owns. One people like, the other people don't like. We're going to talk real quick about the one that people don't like. That is the Carolina Panthers. Apparently, they've been in talks with Stephon Gilmore. Your thoughts on that situation?
What the hell is taking so long? That's my first thought. What the hell is taking so long? I said it last week on the show, man. Look, without Stephon Gilmore, you have a good defensive backfield. With Stephon Gilmore there, you have a great defensive backfield. What are you doing, Panthers? You're not giving us a lot to be excited about at the quarterback position. At least shore up the defensive backfield, man. We've had a very good we've had a better than expected offseason with the Panthers. Don't mess it up by letting Stephon Gilmore go. Do whatever you got to do to bring that man back, man. Well, don't do whatever you got to do. Don't overpay the guy, but work that out, man, and make sure that you at least have that set going forward next season.
I'm going to say this. You paid Dante Jackson a lot of money. J.C. Horn is coming back. You traded draft capital for the kid from Jacksonville. You invested a lot into this young secondary. I like Stephon Gilmore, but I'm not overpaying for Stephon Gilmore.
Don't overpay. I agree there.
And do you bring him in at kind of sacrificing for development? I mean, are we a ready to win team right now? Honestly, let's be honest.
Not without a quarterback, we ain't.
And then I'm gonna say this: we need another pass rusher. We lost Reddick. We need another pass, and we need a tackle, and we need a quarterback. I would rather take care of those positions first and then kind of shore things up. And then also, in my opinion, we need another linebacker, but that's either here or there. But those are the things on my priority list first. Like, I think we're safe at DB right now. I think we can go in the season and be good. From what we saw in JC Horn in 3-4 games last year, I'm pretty confident we'll be okay.
Hey, Rodney, let me ask you a question. Let me cut you off real quick because Josh is bringing up a good point. I want to ask you this: would you have rather than paid Gilmore first than to have paid Dante Jackson first?
We don't know what the Gilmore number was.
Okay, true. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's not money with Gilmore. I'm thinking it's time. The Panthers probably are like, okay, 2-year deal.
1 to 2 year deal. He wants 4 or 5.
Gilmore's like, nah, I need more than that.
He probably wants a 4 or 5 year deal.
Right. He knows he's on the downside. I thought
it's his last big contract.
When I saw that Stephon Gilmore made the Pro Bowl, I was actually upset. I thought that's the worst thing for the Carolina Panthers because he's got those incentives in his contract, and his agent is probably like, look, you got a Pro Bowl DB on your team. You know,
pay him like one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, so now you're the Panthers. You're like, wow, dude, essentially it's the curse of Charlotte. You're gonna have to overpay to keep him. And I don't think you overpay Stephon Gilmore.
A black cat is your mascot.
Throwing the bear.
The bear.
It's a lot of, I don't know, man. Like, am I willing to spend that much money for a team that's probably not going to win? I mean, it's you made the critical mistake of thinking you were good last year, and bringing him in as a piece last year with the idea that you were ready to go compete for a playoff spot, and then you won 5 games, and you gave up capital. You gave up a 6th-round pick. Like, we do not have a day 2 pick, and it's
sad.
Which is actually maybe all the more reason to pay him whatever he wants, because you gave up so much to get him.
We have roughly $30 million left. We have a 1st, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. Is all we have this year.
Yeah,
and
I mean that's a lot of money to play with. Actually, I mean
it's a decent amount of money, but my thing is, like, in the draft, like, you're taking care of certain positions. Like my thing is, I don't think a 4th rounder is necessarily ready to start. Like, 4th, 5th, and 6th is death pieces, and you don't even know if that's typically going to work out. So essentially, you're coming out this draft with maybe a young quarterback who may or may not be ready to play. You have to bring in, like, say you want to bring back Cam Newton. Cam Newton's not playing for free.
Right.
It's going to be at least 10, 12 million. Well, probably 15. And then you have to get a left tackle. Like, there has to be a left tackle somewhere.
Are we not trusting Brady Christensen to take over the left tackle position?
I don't know.
Matt Rule doesn't, apparently. So
yeah, right.
Matt Rule is fixated on size. I don't get it. He's fixated on size.
Stephon Gilmore took a backloaded contract, to play with New England, which is iffy in the NFL because if you get injured, those contracts are not guaranteed. You take a backloaded contract, you get injured or you don't pan out, you're going to miss out on your big money at the end of the contract, which is almost what happened to him in New England. He did make $13 million his last full season with New England, but he took essentially kind of a pay cut when he got traded here. He's not going to want to do that again. He's not going to take a backloaded contract. He's going to want a lot of guaranteed money. He'll probably stay for $13 million a year, but he's not going to want all that on the back end. He's going to be guaranteed. And I don't think $13 to $15 million a year is overpaying for Stephon Gilmore.
13's a lot. 13's a lot when you're paying Jonte 11, and then you just extended DJ.
Which is kind of why I felt like they pulled the trigger too soon on Dante Jackson. I like Dante Jackson a lot.
I didn't expect him to come back here this season, though.
No,
I really did.
And for $11 million, could you replace his production? Could you replace Jackson? And for
yes.
$11 million, yeah, I feel like you could. So now you're hamstrung with your Stephon Gilmore contract because, like you said, okay, you paid Dante Jackson $11 million. Are you going to pay Gilmore 13 to 15?
Right.
I don't know what Scott Fitterer is doing, man. I don't know. And like Rodney said, we still got like 18 other positions to shore up.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just get Kirk Cousins and
no. Just shoot me, please. Just shoot me, please.
Maybe in the draft we do something like kind of trade back to accumulate more picks.
Hey,
that's something to think about. I mean, if your quarterback or the guy on your board is not there, I think you seriously have to do that because you have so many. For this year, next year, you don't have second round picks.
Guys, go ahead, Rodney. I'm sorry.
You gave that up for the experiment of Sam Bradford. Sam Darnold? Sam Bradford, Sam Darnold, same guy. Same Sam. You wanted to experiment and you got burned by it like 2 years in a row by quarterbacks. So they got to figure this out. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I want Matt Rule making a quarterback decision when he's not gonna be here long term, quite possibly. So I don't know.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I want to end this segment on this question. Answer this question very quickly because we got to wrap it up. Are you on the Malik Willis train? Yes or no?
No.
I don't. My thing is, do we have the infrastructure? Like that's a serious question. Like,
yeah.
If Matt Rule's gonna be here long term, and he sold on Malik Willis, then I would say go for it. But it's so many questions in the air. Like,
yeah,
what if your next coach is not a Malik Willis fan?
Basically, would we be setting him up to fail? Basically, again.
Yeah,
I don't think this coaching staff has the right system in place to take a guy like Malik Willis and make him a franchise quarterback. If you look at essentially you have three kind of quarterbacks in the draft. You have the guys that you absolutely know without a doubt are going to come into the NFL and be elite. Your Cam Newtons, your Andrew Lucks, your Peyton Mannings, those guys, right? And then you got guys who you think might be good, but they come in the league and they're a bust. And then you got your guys, your Russell Wilsons, your Patrick Mahomes,
Dak,
your Aaron Rodgers, your Dax. Yeah, you have guys that just fly under the radar and they come into the NFL and they get in the right system and they're elite quarterbacks. The Carolina Panthers can't do that. I think Malik Willis is the kind of guy you send him to the right system, he's going to be real good. Carolina, we don't have that here. We don't have an identity. Like, exactly.
It's to the point where it's just like, I remember Matt Rose said we're going to run the ball, and then we never really ran the ball, and it's just like
we're going to run the ball, but we're not going to bring Cam Newton in on
short yardage situations. Yeah.
3 centimeters. Sam Darnold can do that too. That's our coach.
Right. Yeah.
All right. On to the team that everyone likes that David Tepper owns, Charlotte FC. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about Major League Soccer. I probably know more about Premier League in the UK than I do Major League Soccer in the United States. But Charlotte has played 5 matches. We've won 2 of those. We've lost 3. We have 6 points. That actually ties us with DC United, who also has 6 points, but they have 1 less loss because they've played 1 less match. If the playoffs were to start today, now the MLS season is 34 games long. We've only played 5. But if the playoffs were to start, Charlotte FC would be a playoff team.
Hey!
So is that good, though, for Charlotte? Because let me give you some scenarios. The Carolina Panthers, 7-9 their first season, make the NFC Championship game their second season. And I feel like Charlotte fans have felt like we're owed something. Like we got spoiled really early with the Carolina Panthers, and we're already seeing it.
Meanwhile, Michael Jordan is the worst owner on the planet because he can't get LeBron James and Steph Curry.
We also see it in the NHL. The Las Vegas Knights made the Stanley Cup their first season. They did not win it, but it was like there have been these high expectations for the Las Vegas Knights ever since then, and they've been a pretty okay team, but they have not gone back to the Stanley Cup final. So is this good for the Charlotte FC? Need to go through the pains of an expansion franchise in professional sports, or does it not matter because it's MLS? I'm gonna say
this. Raleigh cannot one up us. We have to win the championship for Charlotte at all costs. If I mean, the Panthers are like a decade for being a championship contender. The Hornets are about solid 4 or 5 years away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If we can get Charlotte FC to be like Atlanta United,
that's true.
And we can have a championship here. I'm like, and then like the people in Raleigh said, we had the only professional sports championship in North Carolina. I'm like, nope. Charlotte FC, the team that we outbid you for, we won a championship.
Yeah, you know what? That I forgot. I did forget that we outbid Raleigh to get Charlotte FC. So I see your point there. Good point. I would love to rub that. And although they'll always say, well, NHL, MLS, okay, maybe so, but
NBA, NFL.
Yeah, at least we got those. Y'all don't have those.
To answer your question, man, it'll be good for Charlotte, but it would be annoying. And I'm going to tell you why it would be very annoying. For the reasons you already said, man. Charlotte MLS wins the championship, and the casuals will be out in full force. Oh, my God.
Everybody want to be a soccer fan. Everybody.
Everybody's going to want to be a soccer fan. And everybody is going to be a long-time soccer fan if that happens. Believe you me, buddy. But on top of that, oh, my God. How can the soccer team win a championship, but Michael Jordan can't buy players to come win the Hornets a championship? How come the Panthers can't? The annoyance that come with it, man. Whatever. It'll be a good thing overall. I would love to.
I saw something earlier today. Somebody said the Charlotte FC game is the only place David Tepper shows his face.
Makes sense to me.
Can't blame him.
Can't blame him.
I mean, Charlotte FC is a Charlotte professional sports franchise. I'm gonna root for them to do well regardless. It looks like they are actually considerably better than a lot of the teams in the Eastern Conference, at least in MLS. Even teams like New York and New England. So hopefully they stay in the mix and at least give Charlotte fans something to cheer about. Speaking of Charlotte fans, this will be we haven't done a controversial topic in a while. This may be somewhat controversial, but there's now a tradition at Charlotte FC games. And good point about the atmosphere. Good segue. A few weeks ago, during the singing of the national anthem, there was some kind of technical problem where the singer's microphone was not working or something to that effect. And so the fans then took over singing the national anthem for that singer. That has since become a tradition at Charlotte FC home games. Your thoughts on this? Because I have a interesting relationship with the national anthem. I say this. I was an 8-year military veteran. I saluted that flag every day at 5 p.m. If I was outside. I salute the national anthem. I stood up at the sporting fence. I did all that, and so I get it. But I also understand the recent narrative about the national anthem that has gone on in our country, particularly when it comes to sporting events. So, fellas, your
I'm not going to be controversial. I'm just going to say America and call it a day. Jamal, here.
I have one. I have one comment. I would just like to challenge the American people. And when I say American people, I mean all Americans. I would like to challenge all Americans to not be patriotic when it's just convenient. Be patriotic when it's inconvenient as well. And I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yep. That's all that needs to be said. Having said that, I do want to go to a Charlotte FC game actually really badly now.
It's lit. The tickets cost too much, but it's lit.
So, I guess our fans just going to have to bite the bullet on that. It looks like Tepper and crew aren't budging when it comes to tickets and season tickets. Is that just something?
To answer your question, yeah, because not only just game tickets, but hell, everything else. I went to Bojangles today, and the 3-piece cost $11 damn dollars. When did the 3-piece cost $11?
Man, I bought a cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell. That shit was $5.30 for a taco. Dog, for a taco?
The point we're making is that everything is expensive.
I went to Popeyes and my
you got robbed?
Yeah, I got robbed. My nuggets and fries and drink was $10, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's got enough. Popeyes is on Wilkinson, so you might get robbed in the.
No. I'm not a Charlotte Booger Wolf anymore, so I'm gone.
So, wouldn't you though? If you were, I'm not a billionaire, and I don't own a major league soccer team. But wouldn't it be cool to like cut the ticket prices in half, but then open up the entire stadium?
So you can have more of an experience and a crowd.
Imagine 70,000 people at every game. I think.
Wow.
I think you would get that if the tickets were.
So what you're saying is like you. So what you're saying is like you could forego capitalism for once and maybe actually still make some money.
And
promote an experience. Is that what you're saying?
Hey.
Wow.
I don't own hedge funds, so what do I know?
Hey, this is a sports podcast. No need to be revolutionary.
Yes, we do need to go to churches though. But hey, one time. Okay, this is my church's story. One time, 2 years ago, for Christmas, one of our sons wanted a pair of Jordan 12 flu games. Okay,
I remember the story.
Kind of tough to find. They're sold out everywhere. So we went looking on like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and a dude was like, "Hey man, I got some like not worn flu games, that I'll sell you guys for like $250," which was great because these were an expensive shoe. I was like, "Cool, man. Where do you want to meet? Because I'm gonna give you $250. You give me these Jordans. Let's meet somewhere in public." He's like, "Meet me behind the church's chicken." I went because I had to get these flu games from a kid. Right? We had to strap in the ride. We was like, "Yo, if you get," real stand up guy, real cool dude. He like came up to the car with a backpack, opened the joints. He had to buy. They were legit Jordan flu games that I bought from a guy behind the church's chicken on trade and baby.
Hey man, hey Kazi, don't let anybody tell you you're not a hell of a father, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's Charlotte shit right there.
Kazi, you were asking to be a co-star on First 48 that night.
It was worth it. They had a great Christmas.
No doubt, bro.
All right, y'all got any shout outs? That's my shout out, Church's Chicken. Y'all got any shout outs before we get out of here?
Shout out to Bad Bunny. He is a megastar, and
I don't listen to music.
Bad Bunny is a Latin rapper, singer, wrestler. He is like God to the Latin community, and it was nuts that the Spectrum Center had a line wrapped around both sides for Bad Bunny yesterday, and heard the concert, which is a great time, and go Charlotte FC.
I did not know who Bad Bunny was before last night. I just want to thank him for bringing out the legions of beautiful Latino women that were downtown last night. Oh my God, man, boy, there was some beautiful ladies downtown last night. So shout out to Bad Bunny for that reason. If not for anything else. I don't know if this is a shout out. I do have a parting shot, and my parting shot is, man, we said this in the beginning of the show, and I want to revisit this, man. Tar Heels, y'all have to win today. Like y'all have to. Look, man, y'all know I'm born in Connecticut, man, so I don't claim the Tar Heels as my team, but damn it, they are my team today. I have never been more of a Tar Heels fan more than I am today. Y'all gotta win today, man. The Duke Carolina matchup for the Final Four next week. It is kismet. It has to happen for the universe. So there's just no more fitting way for Coach K's last season to be to face Carolina next week in the Final Four. It just has to happen. That's my final part.
It would be great.
What's that?
If they play in the Final Four and like Duke lost on the last second shot, and like Coach K goes out losing to Duke twice,
Carolina twice,
second shot in the Final Four. You North Carolina.
Man, that would man.
And look, I obviously I'm not really. Obviously, I'm a Clemson graduate, but I don't like Coach K.
You're not the only one. I'll just leave it at that.
And I don't like Hubert Davis either, but I don't like Coach K more.
Hey, shout out to everybody.
Shout out to Gordon Hayward's barber, dog.
What are you doing? You make too much money for your hair to look like that, man.
Well, just go Google it. Just go look up Gordon Hayward's haircut, man. I mean, you need to give James Borrego's barber. Say what you want about James Borrego. His barber be on point. Gordon Hayward's barber, no.
Yeah, I don't know what Joe Brady's doing these days, but call Joe Brady to see where he used to get his haircut, man.
Yeah, he had a tight white guy fade. It was dope.
Yeah. He's staying away from Charlotte.
I would hope so. I would really hope so.
Hey, but don't y'all stay away from Charlotte. Don't stay away from under construction. Y'all enjoy the games tonight. We'll see you again next week. Hopefully the Hornets will have locked in a playoff spot next time you talk to us. We'll see. Y'all have a good Sunday.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this before we go. Shout out to the Lady Gamecocks.
No doubt.
You're the only team. That's the only Gamecock team I would root for because I love Dawn Staley. She's a great coach, and Aaliyah Boston is a dog. And shout out to the Lady Gamecocks. Let's end this UConn era forever.
Man, that'll never happen. Let's calm down, sir. Let's calm down.
Calm down.
The UConn women's basketball era will never end. Let's just calm down a little bit, sir.
It's Women's History Month, and men coaching women is a no-go this month. So go for USC.
I think that says it all. Y'all have a good Sunday. Enjoy.
Have fun, y'all.
Y'all take care.
Peace, y'all.